I did my research paper on the gay rights movement, specifically what marked the beginning of the movement. Some historians credit the homophile movement as the origin of the modern gay rights movement. This movement, which began in the 1950s and lasted until the 1960s, set the stage for the modern gay rights movement. It fought for respect and equal rights for all people, regardless of gender identity or sexual orientation. It was marked by the founding of various gay rights organizations, the main ones being the Mattachine Society and the Daughters of Bilitis. These organizations held meetings to bring awareness to the oppression of gay men and lesbians, in addition to publishing magazines, which allowed for a collective identity to be formed and for communication networks to be established. This proved vital to the success of the next event I'm going to talk about. Although the homophile movement laid the foundation for the gay rights movement that we know today, most people attribute the beginning of the movement to the Stonewall riots. On June 27, 1969, the New York City Police raided the Stonewall Inn, a bar popular amongst homosexuals. 8 undercover police officers entered the bar and arrested employees, drag queens, and cross-dressing patrons, as during this time it was illegal in New York to masquerade as the opposite sex. While police raids of homosexual bars and gatherings were common, this event was unique, as the patrons erupted into violence, fighting back against their humiliating treatment. The police eventually barricaded themselves inside the Stonewall Inn itself, as rioters continued to throw items and attempt to break down the door. The following night, the Stonewall Inn reopened, and many people gathered, chanting slogans such as "Gay Power" and "We Shall Overcome." The police arrived once again, this time beating and using tear gas on the crowd. The following nights, gay activists seized upon the opportunity to spread information and build up the gay community, something that proved vital to the growth of the gay rights movement. These riots were commemorated with a yearly parade, which we know today as the Pride Parade. This allowed for the LGBTQ community to grow and to come together to fight against their unjust treatment. It gave them not only a voice, but a community, allowing gay people to have pride in their identity, bringing together a community once isolated through fear and oppression. Stonewall not only acted as a catalyst for the gay rights movement in the United States, but in countries all over the world, including France, Canada, New Zealand, Britain, and Germany, amongst others. I chose this topic because the history of queer people is often overlooked, and yet it is such a significant part of our society today. Without events and movements such as the ones I've mentioned, gay and trans people would still be forced to hide their identity. And even with the gay rights movement, many are still afraid to come out due to discrimination in their families and in society as a whole. We still have a long way to go to ensure that all people are accepted for who they are and who they love, and I believe that the first step towards acceptance is educating people. So the historian that I'm going to focus on is Cynthia Cannon Poindexter, who wrote Socio-Political Antecedents to Stonewall: Analysis of the Origins of the Gay Rights Movement in the United States. So she examines why Stonewall is often labeled as the origin of the gay rights movement by looking at the context in which the riot took place. So to do this, she looked at 4 major events to understand the foundation of the movement. These included the homophile movement, treatment of gay men and lesbians in the military, the increased public awareness of discrimination of gay people, and the social activism of the decade. The article concluded that while Stonewall did not mark the origin of the gay rights movement, it was a defining moment in a long, hard struggle and should be commemorated as such. So my conclusion in my research paper was that all 4 historians agreed that the origin of the gay rights movement could not be attributed to one event. Rather, it was a conglomeration of events which gave way to the movement and the society that we know today.